What's good, y'all? I am first of all gonna apologize to our guests tonight before we introduce them because I owed them a lot better job than what I did in prepping this like 30 minutes before we started. I'm an asshole, but you all know that and you love me for it anyways. So it is what it is. Thank you for coming to Outside the Clutch. This is episode 4 and we're trying to get this rolling, right? So make sure you're taking the time, you're hitting that like, and you're pushing this out to your friends. Bring people that are interested into reptiles into this industry. Uh, I'm trying to focus on the people themselves. Like we talk about what these people are doing within the industry, of course, but I want to really dive in and get to know the people themselves because I feel that that's how you build a brand. Like we'll talk business and all that as well. Before we bring them on, I want to talk about two things. One, if you're interested in potentially either sponsoring this podcast or looking at a way to help with the podcast, please reach out and make sure you are following us on YouTube and Instagram because that's where you're going to get all the updates for this podcast. So now that I've blabbered all that crap off, let me bring on the people that you're actually probably here to see. I would like to welcome Jim and Matt from ECTOTHERMIC Dungeon.
Well, thank you, sir.
What's going on, guys?
Not too much.
Not much, man. Not much. Just we're in the deep of our season. So, we went early last year and it's following suit again. And it looks like about 65-70% of all our girls are probably going to be dropping eggs in the next month or two. So
it's about to get real busy for y'all.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do another expansion of that.
Yeah, there's a touch of panic when I say that. We got hatchling tubs for X amount, and there's always you never have a tub for every baby you have planned for the whole season because they kind of stagger throughout the year, and you can it makes me nervous to have so many coming all at once that I might have to go buy another hatchling rack or two. So
or 5 or just build 1 or 2 in the backyard. You got to do what you got to do to make it work. But
and we've done that before. So
awesome. So how did you guys come to be? Like whose idea was it to come together and go after ball pythons or just go after reptile breeding in general?
That kind of started with you, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a longer story. We didn't really start with ball pythons. We started with bearded dragons, and it all started. My son wanted a dragon, and he was in college, and he was living off campus. So I took him to a reptile show, and found a good breeder, bought a dragon for him, and the wife fell in love with him. So we got a couple more, and before you know it. It just one thing turned into another, and Matt bought some, and we had a whole bunch of breeders, and we were breeding insects and dragons, and it was crazy, and then it was just like a hobby. It was fun, and we kind of really just did it together from the beginning. So
nice.
I don't know. It was it just kind of happened. It wasn't really something decided on or talked about. It just kind of happened.
So you guys knew each other. How did you guys know each other before reptiles?
We're actually a family. Our wives are sisters.
That's horrible. I'm just kidding. Isn't that like recipe for disaster for most people though? Like
some say
you get in the business with family and then you have I hope it's not like that.
No,
we both operate like under ECTOTHERMIC Dungeon, but we have like our separate, collections, if you will, and
right.
And we do share, males or whatever, but Matt has like his animals and his projects, and he grows his collection at his pace, and I have mine, and I grow mine at my pace, and then Matt takes care of all the rodents and stuff, and we split the cost of food and stuff like that. So, I mean, so far it's worked. It may not be perfect, but it works.
I mean, it's a learning curve, I think, up until years now, and you guys are constantly going to be changing and adjusting to whatever's getting thrown at you. So
yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Oh, that dead space we were talking about.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. There's that dead air.
Oh, there's the first yell at that my dad's gonna give me.
Yeah, we as family goes, Jim and myself, we have very common interests, and it just made it really easy to work together.
What do you mean
Yeah.
by common interess?
Like pretty
Besides
much
keeping the sisters happy, or I mean that's probably the biggest interest.
A happy wife, happy
life, right?
So
That's what they say. I'm still trying to figure that part. No, I'm just kidding.
it takes a lifetime to figure out.
Yeah.
No, ever since I married into the family, ever since in the beginning, we were initially almost like brothers from day one.
Nice.
Everything, we ended up doing everything together. We hang out all the time, and it's just easy.
So,
yeah, I mean, like you, we're both veterans, so we've both served, both like reptiles, both, I mean, electronics, gaming, like, you can have a full-fledged conversation about pretty much anything and there's a common interest. So it just, like, I'm kind of annihilating the word, but it's easy. It just makes it easy. You know what I mean?
What's the style of gaming you guys go after? Like, I see Matt's headset, and I was like, he's got to be a gamer.
Yes, sir.
Shooter stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Shooter, first
Shooters,
person shooters.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm into
Call of
that.
Duty,
I'm into
Destiny, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You guys looking to do that at like a more professional level too at some point, or trying to get ranked, or are you? No,
I'm not that
just
good.
For fun.
Yeah,
it's
just
just sipping smoked whiskeys and making fun of little kids.
Yeah, there ain't no FaZe Clan knocking on my door.
No, right?
That's not happening. No, definitely not happening. It'd be a lot of fun to have that as a profession, but yeah, I'm not that good, and I can't spend copious hours getting good at it. I have too many too many snakes and too many other things going on in life that I just
on top of careers too. So
yeah.
So what made you guys move from beardies to ball pythons?
I'll let you take this
Anaphylaxis.
one,
Anaphylaxis.
Yeah. With breeding all the insects, like, well, not all, but a large majority of the insects that we were feeding, we were breeding. I eventually developed an allergy to essentially all of them. So anytime I would touch them, my hands would swell up and turn red like tomatoes, and I'd have trouble breathing. And I've had asthma in the past, so I had an inhaler. I mean, I had to literally bolt out of the room and run down and take shots of the inhaler just to breathe. And with the volume that we had, that room was crazy hot all the time, and there's no way I'm going in a room that's 90, 95 degrees in a long sleeve shirt with gloves and a full face respirator on to take care of these animals. I mean, that to me is just not fun. You know what I mean? That fun part was pulled out of it with that. And about that time, we had picked up some ball pythons, but had no clue what we were doing, had no direction with projects or any of that stuff. I think we had like 20 ball pythons right around the time that happened. And we just started selling all the dragons and just did 100% into ball pythons.
Nice. So when did you guys decide that it was going to be like an actual business? Like, you were going to try to do more than just your typical couple of clutches as a hobby? Because it seems like you guys have been making a fairly strong push the past year to 2 years with pretty good genes.
It was, I would say it was probably about 3-4 years ago. And, you know, I didn't necessarily have it in mind for it to be looking at something to be full time and be the job. More, you know, we'll build a brand, we'll build a name, and, you know, maybe it could be a, you know, retirement thing. You know, when work is all done, you know, the brand is built, you know, I can go mess around with this stuff. But it's kind of gone away from the retirement thing and starting to look more like, you know, maybe we're going to jump in and do this full time. You know, the numbers are looking that way, from the, you know, just the clutch averages and the average sales and things like that, that it, you know, it's going to have the potential to support, you know, a salary. And hopefully we'll see the first of that this coming season.
Nice. So let's, are you guys open to talk numbers or like strategy? Okay.
Yeah, it ain't no Miguel numbers, but we
I know, right?
we can talk numbers.
So where do you think your line is? Like, when does this become full time for y'all?
It'll happen much sooner for Jim himself than it will for me, because he's a little bit further along. I mean,
I'm an operating room nurse, and it's got to replace my salary.
Right. So,
I mean, it's not a number of clutches. You know, my commitment to the animals and the clutches I produce, I'm going to support that even working, you know, full time. But for, you know, me to walk away from my current job, I at least have to, you know, be able to pay bills and, you know, support my family still. So, and I don't want to go necessarily backwards to do that financially. So, the plan is to, you know, get the target numbers, which they're looking like it should happen this season, and then, you know, do I make the full jump and go do it, or do I try to ride it another season if I can stretch it? And
you're trying to see if you can work it up to a higher volume, or do you mean stretch it by like monetary?
Once I know it'll replace my salary, for me, stretching it is, you know, how long can I burn the candle at both ends, just to make sure that happens. You know, I don't want to make the jump with just seeing the numbers one season. You know, and honestly, we haven't had a season where we've ever gone backwards.
Right.
But I also have some of the worst luck on the planet. So it would be my luck that I would make the jump, and then, you know, that's, you know, a potential to happen. So I'm just going to be cautious so that I don't hurt myself, you know, financially, and we'll see what happens.
So what are we looking at margin wise? Like, you said you're an ER nurse, right?
OR, operating room.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's even more specialty.
Yeah. I want to be around 100.
Okay. That's what I was going to say about 6 figures.
Yeah.
All right. That makes sense. What about you, Matt?
I'm also an operating room nurse.
Disgusting, man. No, I'm just
my collection's a little on the smaller side. So I'm a few more years out from where Jim currently is. But yeah, the 6-figure mark is roughly where we're at, because that's about the salary. So I'm probably, I don't know, probably about another 4 or 5 years from reaching my mark, probably.
And that's working. It's working your 12s.
I work
a swing.
I currently work 8 5s or 5 8s. I can't count. So I work 5 days a week.
So it's more of a clinical setting for you in the OR. Yeah.
So I work at a ambulatory surgical center. So do a lot of orthopedic, shoulders, knees, joint replacements, feet, hands, that type of stuff. So nothing crazy.
Need to come see you get this right shoulder fixed.
Oh, I can't fix it for you.
I mean, you could make it worse, so TRICARE has to pay for it. Just play. No, that's cool. What got you guys into being OR nurses? Because that's it's kind of a strange field for people to go
for
to.
me,
Like most people that go into nursing try to get that ER slot or something like that, you know?
I mean, I don't want to sound like a total douchebag, but I like my patients where they can't talk.
No, it makes a lot of sense to me. You don't have to tell me.
It's nice when they're asleep, and and I can, do my job one patient at a time, so I can focus on one patient. Where and I've done the floor nursing stuff, and dealing with family and why and explanations all the time is crazy, or people that are just non-compliant or for whatever reason.
Right.
Yeah, you're doing 8, 12 patients at a time when you're on the floor versus one.
Right. So I feel it's a bit safer for my license, and I like to focus on one patient at a time and make sure everything is done 100% right, one at a time, and then on to the next one. So.
And Jim was actually an OR nurse before I was, and he's like, "Hey, dude, you should try this." And never look back.
I can't believe with all the times that me and Jim have talked, I didn't know that. But
yeah, we've never really gone down that road.
When I first started in the medical field, I was a CNA in a hospital.
God bless.
I got that by being a server, which was weird as crap, right? Like I was serving a new nurses luncheon.
Oh.
And it was like a 25 top, and my manager was trying to give me help, and I was like, no, I got this. Like, you got 25 ladies that have nothing but money in their pocket. I got this. You make sure all the other tables are taken care
I'm gonna own this one,
right? Yeah. I got them all liquored up and all the stuff you're supposed to do as a server. And the manager, the hiring manager for the hospital at the time, was at that luncheon, and she was like, your customer service is great. Here's my card. Let me know when you're ready to find a higher paying job. And so I called her the next day and set up the interview, and I worked as a CNA, and I was waiting for the hospital that I worked at had a scrub tech program that they did once a year. And unfortunately, the scrub tech program got scrubbed the year that I got hired.
A lot of them are. They're closing up a lot of those scrub tech programs.
But so I went there, and then I got put on a PRN, and unfortunately, so I had PRN days, and we had a night CNA not show up to a shift. They're like, well, you're the PRN guy for this floor, so
up you
go.
go.
Pull this 24, and then that 24 needs to turn into a 32 or 36 hour shift, because you're scheduled the next morning. So I did the 24, and I looked at him and I was like, I'm going home. Like, I can't stand anymore. I got to go to sleep. And they're like, well, if you go home, you're going to get written up and probably lose your job because of this. And I was like, well,
okay,
it's not that important. Like, I need sleep.
It's like, it's either the safety of the patient or,
I mean, like, well, I was working CTV, CU, and tele, right? So I'm working with all these old patients that can't get up themselves. So you're bearing the majority of their weight for tele, or CVTCU, where you're bearing the majority of their weight because they just had some cardiac event happen to them, or they had a heart transplant or something, and they just got moved up out of ICU. So I'm literally carrying patients all day, but it is what it is. It's in the past, but that's what really started my medical focus. And then obviously in the military, I became a medic and got a lot more well-versed in the field. And my PA was trying to push me into the IPAP program and make me a PA. It's like, I don't know if that's a route I want to go. I don't want a license that I have to worry about, essentially.
Right.
Yep. Well, that was the whole reason that I walked away from the floor nursing stuff. When they take, the support staff off the floor because they got to put them somewhere else. And, they just stack on the patients and increase the workload that you already have, not adequate time to complete.
Right.
It's just a matter of time before something goes real bad. And, there's a code and there's not enough people and somebody, will expire or, or you get crossed up and, meds get given to the wrong patient. There's so many things that can happen on a floor when they pull so much away from you all the time. And it just happened too often. And I was like, you know what, I got to find something else. So I went to ER and we'll do one at a time.
Yeah. I had a point where I was on the floor and a nurse had called out. One of our CNAs had called out. So it was just me, another nurse, and one CNA on the floor. And we had 25 patients on the floor.
Yeah, that's not safe.
And you guys are only, isn't it like as a RN, you're only supposed to have what, 5, I think? I think like max loads around 5 to 7 expected.
Yeah, it should be.
Should be. Yep. So,
but it depends on the acuity. If you go to like an ICU, you're 1-2 max.
Right.
2 patients max, and you get up into like a cardiac floor, you're like 4 max. Like a surgical or a med floor, I mean, you could see 5, 6, 7, 8. At a main hospital, you go to like an extended care or something, those volumes just go through the roof.
Yeah, and I was the most senior person on the floor. I'd only been off of orientation for 3 months, and the other nurse had only been off of orientation for a month.
Holy hell!
Yeah. No. So yeah, that definitely got my wheels turning and going. No.
It's a good way to lose your nursing staff as soon as they started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys, did you make the rookie mistake of nurses signing a bonus for the hospital so that you're stuck under contract? Okay. At least you were smart about that. Dude, I watched so many nurses like they want to quit after their first 2 years because they got suckered into that bonus.
Oh, I signed one contract in my life, and that was it. Military. I did one there.
You learned. Yeah.
That's funny.
So what made you decide to go from like this high pressure, high stress, always on the go job to taking care of animals where you're always on the go, always busy? It's a fun stress relief. I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's a different type of stress. It's an enjoyable stress. Working with the reptiles.
Yeah, I mean, I just dig the genetic side of things. I like to play geneticist, and try to stack stuff and see what happens, and
got
just
a God
really
complex,
right?
If you got, so I'm gonna do it. I'm sorry, Jim. I got to. When we logged on, this dude was like,
"Yeah, it was." I had to fix it. It was like,
look up at your God.
I'm trying here. I don't have enough books to get this thing up to my eye level. Everything's digital now.
It is.
But
you gotta get like a little. What are those called? I don't even know what they're called. I was gonna make a joke. Gimbal. You gimbal that'll just follow you and like extend on its own.
That'd be nice.
Like patent a gimbal that extends on its own, so it just follows you at face level.
Go up and come down and turn.
Someone's gonna hear this and patent that, and
millions. You're gonna lose out. You shouldn't have said anything.
I'm not gonna do it. I don't have time for it.
But too bad you couldn't.
There you go, $1 million idea, guys.
Somebody run with it. We'll test the demo.
Just make sure to give me some sort of fucking credit in the end.
Oh, for sure.
Your name
I heard this on John's stupid podcast, but I made millions off of it. Freaking loser. Oh
yeah. So yeah, I mean, prior to that, I mean, I grew up. My old man had an electrical contracting business, so I grew up doing electrical work. I mean, I started working in the shop when I was 8, and I was roughing houses and bossing adults around when I was 12, 13. Telling them what to do, like on the job, like running the job. And I moved inside, and I was project managing and estimating, and that's where I saw, nope, not for me, not for me. I have too much of an anger issue where if somebody going to pay me and it's going to affect my livelihood, yeah, my Louisville and myself are going to go for a ride and we're going to have a conversation.
Right.
And I'm just like I that's way too much stress. I'm good.
That's a perfect military fit. Anger issues. Go right in there.
Yeah.
And
it solved that. Yeah, so.
In the military, I was an electronics technician, and then after I got out, I did that for another 8 years or so. So I was building test systems that would simulate jet engines, test Tesla batteries, test circuit boards, that type of stuff. And then I just kind of plateaued, and there was just really nowhere to go. And then Jim, he was either going in nursing, he was in nursing school or just finished nursing school.
Yeah, I was in the program. Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you should give this a try, see what you think. And
that's a huge flop.
Yeah. Yeah, a huge career change.
Yeah. Yeah, so even that, I mean, he was doing electronics and I used to do electrical. So again, the commonalities are just like silly.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's almost like the sisters were like, hey, they're the exact same person, just different bodies. Let's merge them into one.
There's still enough.
They close the circuit with the husbands. Oh, electrical reference. I'm gonna have to rename the title "Closing the Circuit with ECTOTHERMIC."
That's right.
Wow.
Oh man.
So what morph was it that initially caught your guys' eye and was like, okay, this is why I have to do ball pythons. Like, this is what excites me.
Well, in the beginning, we really didn't. It was just kind of, oh, that looks cool. This looks cool type of thing. We really didn't have much of a plan in the beginning. We were just grabbing it, picking up anything and everything we could. But once we really got into it, started messing around with everything, the two genes that really do it for me is puzzle and exanthic.
Black and white snakes. No, I'm just kidding.
Jim says the same thing.
They make some really nice stuff. They make some really nice stuff. I'm not gonna shit on exanthic. It's after seeing it with certain combos, I do appreciate it. I'm a color
You like
guy.
the color.
Like, I'm all about color and pattern changing and how creative it can get and trying to bring out different palettes. And
I think where I get that from is I like photography and I like black and white photos.
Okay.
I'm very, very into that. So I think the kind of crosses over into the exanthic stuff, being able to kind of get that black and white version of what the colored one would look like. And we've hit some pretty cool combos over the past few years. Really, this year, actually this past season, I'm combining the puzzle and the exanthic project. My luck, I hit all females. I didn't hit a male at all, so I got to do another pairing to try to get a male.
It could be worse. I mean,
right? Yeah. I could have hit all males.
Yeah. At least this, I mean, you're doing it the right way, even with breeding. I'm just saying.
Yeah, right.
They'll be grown up a little bit before you get that male.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the timing, if he hits one this year, I mean, the timing will be good. If he doesn't hit a male this year, then it becomes questionable.
Yeah. I got to hope that there's another person that's working TSK puzzle. I hope he hits one, and I may just have to pick one up.
Yeah. I guess in the beginning for me, the first couple animals I bought were cinnamons, to make a super cinnamon, because I figured like an all black or near black snake would have been really cool. And then from there it kind of melded into trying to make an all purple snake, which has been a common thing, and we never got there. We've had a few clutches
expire
that had the potential to make it, and I think we actually made some, but with the Super Cine stuff, They were all kinked and deformed or dead in the egg, and nothing ever really came to fruition or never really hit the ground.
Yep.
So we just not completely gone away from it, but it's just not really a focus anymore.
And that's actually another commonality. He started out with cinnamon. I started out with black pastel.
So would you guys consider like doing it into, what is it called? The 8-ball version of it instead? It's 8-ball, right? When you
we
mix the pastel with the cine?
So we actually tried. We have a cinnamon candino. We paired to a black pastel albino. Ran into the same issues. All the supers were kinked. We just haven't had that luck.
Have you looked at like doing the lower incubation temps?
Yeah,
or
we tried that.
Yeah, with that clutch, we actually tried that with the candino and the albino. Then yeah, it didn't work out.
I'm too scared to do. You guys got more balls than me. I'm too scared to try to do something that could potentially destroy an entire clutch. But
well,
I mean, at this point, we just have to figure out a different way to do it, because I don't want to, intentionally, put clutches together that are going to have so many issues.
Right.
On the off chance that I might get a healthy one. I mean, how many clutches you have to go through and how many deaths, so it's really, it's a way back burner kind of thing, until we can, kind of come up with another game plan.
And that's where I'm at with the pandapides. I'm terrified to put all that effort into it and then come out with kinks and duckbills. And, so I'm trying to find, it may be a little bit of a longer route, adding extra genes and trying to hit that black and white.
So in the beginning, most of the pairings we were doing were kind of, like incomplete dominant stuff like that. It wasn't really, and I don't necessarily consider that a project. Having one or two clutches of something that is, I don't know. I don't know why I feel like, to me, that's not really a project. Where, if you're working Desert Ghost and you're building your hets and there's just way more involved than, buying a couple animals and trying to make something, where with the recessive stuff, that's more project driven, in my mind. Because you're going to buy a visual or whatever, and you got to make your hets, and you're going to try to make visuals too, and you're also going down a road, hopefully, with a plan to achieve something. So like I've kind of gone the long road of making Batmans. I still haven't made a Batman, but I didn't just want to make a Batman. So, I have the components now to make a comboed Batman that's het lav. So, that's a lot harder to do than just, I say just, but then, spot nose leopard clown. Getting that 100% het lav in there and hit all that stuff. It's definitely more of a project. It's a lot more work involved. So now
someone's been listening to Justin Kabilka videos.
Well,
no, not at all.
So we started that project, and I have two girls this season that look like one's definitely going to go. The other one she's growing 20 millimeters, and she is housing food like crazy. I think she's going to go as well. They're both Enchi double hets, so het lav, het clown, pos het, exanthic. So the male is also an Enchi with all the same recessives. They all came from the same clutch. But the male and one of the females just have this extra amp of color. So I'm suspecting that that's the exanthic component. So I'm thinking they might be triples. And that is the girl that is definitely going. So we'll, it's a long shot.
Find out.
Even if they weren't possets, even if they were true triple hets, it's a long shot to produce an exanthic out of that pairing. So anyway, I mean, first year girl, we'll see how many she gives us. I may not even have but like 5 or 6 eggs.
Right.
So, because I mean, we'll ultrasound, but I don't spend so much time to count eggs when I ultrasound. So I know she's at 33 millimeters. She's going to go. I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm excited to see what comes out of that. So.
Yeah, we pretty much just do a quick enough look for the biggest, look for the follicles, measure them out, and move on to the next girl.
When did you decide it was time to go to ultrasounding? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm on the fence about it. Just because of people that I've talked to. Like I obviously recognize how I obviously recognize. Sorry, that threw me off. Oh, kids are in trouble. How well of a tool it is for a lot of people. I just feel like I'm still at the portion where it's a basics thing, like I want to feel, I want to read, I want to make sure I'm notating, okay, this is what I'm seeing, so that once I add that to my repertoire, it's just making it better. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah, for me, I wasn't ever good at palpating, being able to feel the follicle growth.
Are you that OR nurse that can't hit the vein?
No, I'm good.
I'm just giving you credit. You said you couldn't feel it. You know how many times, how embarrassing that was as a CNA and not supposed to be able to practice that scope. And the nurse has stuck the patient like 5 or 6 times and essentially blown out all their veins.
Yeah.
Like, let me see the alcohol pad. Let me see everything. There you go. Start the line. Tape it down. Don't touch it again.
Right.
I didn't do this.
Yeah, right. You know nothing.
Nobody saw it.
Yeah. But I struggled with palpating as well. I mean, I can, but it's not until the follicles are a lot bigger before I can feel them. And where I want to put a lock on at like 10, my fingers aren't that good. Like I can't, especially when they're housing food and there's like leftover rodent in there.
Or they're a massive girl.
Yeah, I couldn't. Excuse me. So, I mean, we tried for a couple of years and it just wasn't going well. I mean, we were still learning to, look at the girls and read them and know their body type and when it changes, where they're at, kind of stuff. And I had an opportunity come my way to pick up an ultrasound, and we got it relatively inexpensively, and I grabbed it. And the first couple of years we used it, but it was really, I didn't breed by it. I just used it to kind of confirm what I thought was going on. But I was still putting, I would have 1 male to 5 girls, no more than that. And, he would breed once a week and they'd all get a lock at least once a month kind of thing. Last year, we started to breed with the ultrasound. So really just putting locks together based on the ultrasound readings. And I have, I guess, what I would call like 3 heavy enough hitters that I wanted to really push the envelope with how many pairings I could get out of them. And the only way to get, in my opinion, to get beyond 5 is you've got to target breed. So I had a long conversation with Will Moreau on how he does it and stuff. And we just kind of emulated what he was already doing and what works for him for the most part. And we're looking at like at least 50 to 60 clutches so far. They're going to go. And then I've got other girls that are 20 plus that will probably go a little later. So, we're going to be, it's going to be a big season. We're going to be looking somewhere between 60 and 70, I think, this year.
And last year we finished at 45?
Yep, 45.
That's a big change over a couple of years.
It's a
I'm not
big
even
jump.
anywhere near processing that. I'm gonna be happy to be like at 20 here in the next couple of years. But I'm taking a little bit different approach. We'll see if it favors me or not. But so with focusing on that, you kind of said Will was one of your go-tos, and I feel like the people you choose to mentor you and the people you hold in your circle have a big influence on how you do in this industry. Like essentially, like it is what you know because you're the one that has to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But I very much so believe it's who you know to start out that is either going to ensure that you become successful or just one of the quick ins and outs of the industry.
I would push that to one more level, not just who you know, but how well you know that individual. You know, I've met so many people that I know, and that I'll send text to and say, hey, how's it going? You know, I saw the weather in your state. You guys are getting blasted with tornadoes or whatever. You guys good? Kind of thing. Yeah, but that's not really a mentor for me. They're good friends, and I can ask questions here and there, but I've been very reserved about leaning on relationships too much, not to burn them out. So I mean, everything we've really done, we've done thus far without a whole lot of mentoring, and we really don't have a mentor per se. And I just recently started working with Will a little bit on just making sure we're kind of like in the right direction, so to speak, and stuff.
That makes sense.
Just especially with the push coming, where I want to start seeing this thing, pay bills, pay my salary kind of bills. Right. So, yeah.
So who would you say, like, if you had to say your circle, essentially, or who you kind of lean on with questions? This is my opportunity for you to shout out your friends and bring them some notice if you didn't catch on to that.
Yeah. So most of that stuff is kind of locally for me for the most part. Will has been great too. I mean, even last year, questions about certain genes like extreme gene and stuff like that. He's really well versed in, and we looked at a bunch of animals and stuff. But again, I don't really lean on the people like that too much because I don't want to exhaust that, if you will. But Dan Monroe from Monroe Morphs, I talk to him all the time. We're good friends now, and it's all just we met at a show, and he's a couple towns over. So if I got a snake or something that is, dude, I really struggling to figure this one out. What's in here? He'll come over. We'll have him for dinner or whatever, and we'll look at snakes and see if he can help identify stuff. Eric Markstaller from EDR is another great guy up here that we kind of talk to quite a bit and help identify some of our stuff.
Dave with Baller's Garage. He's
another good guy that's a couple towns over as well. He built all our hatchling racks, and he is end of this month I should have 2 grow out racks, 35 V35 shorts. So they'll keep the snakes till they're like 1,500, and then they'll go upstairs with the adults.
Yep. Yeah, and then Joe from JPC, where I guess more acquaintances. I picked his brain a lot with the rodents. He's got a pretty decent rodent facility type thing going on. And when in the beginning, I had really no clue on, the whole breeding thing and trying to get it to work. I had a couple mice and stuff when I was in high school as pets, and a couple rats, but really didn't have any clue on how to do it. So kind of picked his brain on how he did it, and then just trying to manipulate it and make it work for myself.
So how'd the decision come for it to be you that does the rodents? Was it because of your history?
He raised
and you
his
just
hand.
didn't care about? Okay.
I raised my
I've
hand.
kept rodents before. I know how to do rodents. I'm like, okay, go right ahead.
And then Jim also kind of has the breathing issue if he's in an area for too long. If it's not ventilated well. Yeah.
And so did you decide to do it by like colony base or maternity base, or what preference did you take?
We do maternity because I did run into issues where I did have females where they're either hoarding the babies, not letting any other females help take care of them. Ran into issues with some aggression where they would kill the babies. So that's where I decided to do the maternity. Right now I'm kind of experimenting with a couple different ways of breeding. For the longest time I was doing large colonies. So, 5 to 20. I was doing that for a while. So I'm currently still doing that, but then I'm also got a couple of the smaller tubs. I'm doing like a 1 to 6, and then, I'm doing a 2 to 6 and 1 to 10, just kind of experimenting to see where those numbers kind of fall and what produces better.
Okay.
So yeah, it's still a little bit of learning, still trying to figure out what's the best way to do it, and if I can get those smaller colonies to produce what I'm producing with the larger colonies, it'll help save space, and I can actually produce more in the space that I'm using.
So if you had to estimate, I know it's hard for some people, if you had to estimate, how many breeders would you say that you have right now in rodents, and what's your average output from?
Well, right now during the winter, I noticed there's a little bit of a slowdown time. That happens every year. I have anywhere between 40 to 50 pregnant females a week, and then usually about 12 babies per mother.
That's a nice operation.
Yeah, it actually gets a little tough during the winter time, especially when you have a lot of snakes going off feed, trying to figure out what to do with all those extra rodents. We're still working on trying to build up a client base. It's tough. Small state. There's a bunch of other breeders that breed rodents. So trying to find those other customers that they are that these other breeders don't have. It's not a very big area.
Right. And you're both in the same town, or
we're
like
actually
neighboring towns, or
we're like 2 miles up the road from each other. Okay. We're down the road, up the road.
You guys keep it close in the family, huh?
Around the way.
Yeah.
Isn't that way how you're supposed to? This is not Texas, brother.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm used to Texas. You travel hours to see anyone.
How many Connecticut's can get put in Texas?
Literally, you can, from where we're at, you can hit any other place in 2 hours, any other state, within an hour and a half to 2 hours.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, well, no, I've lived up there, so I understand it. Like, I lived on the very southern border of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I could walk 8 minutes from my house and straddle the New Hampshire-Massachusetts line.
Yeah.
So,
like, literally, you can stand on one side of Rhode Island and spit and hit the other side.
That's funny.
Yeah, I grew up in California, so.
Well, that's a huge change for you then.
Yeah, the military brought me over here, and that's where I met my wife. Before I met her, I told myself I'd never come back to Connecticut. Lo and behold, I've been here for 14 years now.
Too long.
It's funny how that works, right?
Yeah.
So we retired in El Paso, and since we retired, well, I say retired. I medically retired from the military, so I say retired, but we all know how that goes.
Yep.
Whatever. We've been in El Paso, I think, what year is it? 22. So the end of this year will be 4 years.
Nice.
And for the last 3-ish years, she'll be like, I'm ready to go. 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 So she's finally getting her wish this year. Hopefully, if everything works out, we'll have a job up. Well, I'll have a job up in Fort Worth and we'll be moved there. I've been looking at land up there to like have our own country set up because I'm tired of being in the city.
Yep.
But I've also looked at the other side where like I've found a couple of houses that are within like a 5-minute drive from Arlington that have a decent sized backyard and decent sized place and has like a shack in the back where I could do the rat setup already.
Nice.
And it's tempting, but plus you could be like, when everyone's at the convention, like, you want to drive 5 minutes and check out a rat steak collection?
Yeah,
you know, come hang out. Like, you don't have to stay in the hotel.
Yeah,
have plenty of room.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But I don't know, because I kind of want to grow my own food and like kind of become a little bit more self-sufficient as well. Like I feel like it's kind of important to teach those values to the kids.
Well, it's stuff
just
that's not
with
taught
the
anymore.
craziness. Yeah. And like it's stuff that I was taught. Like we always maintain like a little vegetable garden, and I was taught how to hunt and how to like essentially fend for yourself if need be, right?
Right.
It's something I would like to pass on to my kids. So
yeah, it's a good thing.
I don't know. We might go like a half hour to 45 minutes outside of Fort Worth and be in the country too, if I can find the right place. Like,
yeah.
But if we do that, I want like a big ass warehouse to do everything and just grow everything from there. Which,
like Justin's, you mean?
Yeah. Well,
right.
I don't know that I'll ever get that huge. I'm thinking like 1,500 to 2,000 square feet. I think that's more than enough for rat and snakes to do whatever I need in life, you know?
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
You know, having your own little building just for that. And you can go in there and have, 1,500, 2,000 square feet. That's a lot of space. I mean, there's a lot of room to move around.
Yep.
At least when you first move in.
Right.
Depends on how you set up the racks. Like in this room, it's so small. There's just no way to do it sideways. I would not be able to. But
yeah,
at that point, like I kind of envision it like the back of a like a clothing store or whatever, where they do their shelves. So you pull out from either side.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Kind of like a Wilbank setup, I guess. I think that's the closest to a setup that's in my mind that I've seen.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I don't ever want to go that big either. So, like the bug might bite me one day, but I think I'm going to sit at like 100, maybe 200 breeders max, and that's where I'm going to let it sit.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where we're at. We have right around it's like 210 breeders. And the holdbacks from this year, I held 36, and I think Matt was a little bit short of that, somewhere around like
32,
something like that.
Yeah.
And we used to do it all in the bedroom. I have a cape, and we have one of the bedrooms that was open, so that's where we started. We had the babies up there and everything, and then the holdbacks. Last year's holdbacks there was 50 for myself. I mean. There was a lot, so we had to do something for space. For once they started getting, to the size where they're going to start breeding. So there was an addition we put on the house a long time ago, and it closed off a one-car garage that used to go underneath in the basement. So that area is 12.5 by 21.5, and that's our hatchling room now. So hatchling / grow out room, shipping. The incubator's down there. So,
yeah, and with the rodents, we started out in a 8 by 12 shed, and then got that full of racks. And I got tired of getting stuck trying to pull out tubs and squished up against another rack behind me. So we converted half of a garage. So now we got 10 by 20 foot space. So yeah, we're progressively getting bigger.
That's the way you do it. So we're at about 55 minutes. I know you have a show tomorrow. Are you good with rolling just a little bit longer?
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's some people asking about the puzzle project and kind of like to pick your mind on what you guys would like to see happen this year. And
absolutely.
Then we'll do our thing. All right. So I don't know if I'm going to say that right, but they essentially want to know what you plan on mixing into the puzzle gene this year, Matt.
Oh, so
if you're willing to say it, like I know some people are kind of like, they'll say, but they won't truly say. You know what I mean?
Well, this past season, like I said, I did the double head exanthic puzzle stuff. I got fire, pastel, and yellow belly mixed in with that. I also did a black pastel. I have black pastel albino puzzle stuff that I'm working on. That I just produced this last season. I have Mojavian puzzle. What else? Oh, I hit a banana orange dream puzzle this past season. He's to size, but he just hasn't figured out what he wants to do. So still using his dad. He's an orange dream banana het puzzle. So I'm hoping to hit a pastel lesser orange dream banana puzzle this year. I missed out on it last year.
I'll be eventually, like once I expand space. My wife made me realize something the other day. We just got this rack.
Yeah.
And then we started looking at all the females that I either picked up this year or produced. And we realized that rack, once they're all grown, is already full.
Yeah.
Like, well, right. I guess we're expanding faster than I
thought. It just happens, dude. You turn around and it's like, oh, I need another rack. All right.
Right.
You know, the part of the balance that like we're trying to figure out is like when to sell females and what females. Or, you know, so, and again, there's a lot of opinions out there. You know, some people say you keep all your females because if the male is big enough and heavy enough, it almost doesn't matter what she is, because he can turn that clutch into, you know, a rock star. But you know,
that could also become counterintuitive depending on your production for rodents. I mean, it's and your time.
Right.
Like, and at what point is your time more valuable than?
Right. How big do you want to be? How big? You know, how fast? So, I don't want to keep everything. So I'm trying to figure out a balance of, you know, what to sell, when to sell it, you know, that kind of stuff. And I don't have answers right now. To tell you the truth, we're, you know, just.
And good examples with that too is we produced some stuff this year. I held back some animals and, you know, talking with Jim about it, and he's like, all right, well, these two animals, why are you holding on to those? What are your plans for them? Can that male go to a variety of girls, or is it just one girl that you're looking to put it to? And, you know, I go back and I look at it and I'm like, you know, you're right. I'm like, why am I holding on to that animal? And initially I held on to that animal. I'm like, because it's awesome. He looks cool, but he doesn't really help my project out at all. So yeah, I usually pick Jim's brain because he's usually, he's got that more A-type personality where he's more outgoing and speaking to more people and getting out and about. So he's usually the one that's, you know, getting information, and then I just kind of pick it from him.
That just means you need to take another sip of whiskey. That'll turn you into more of an A-type personality. You'll be good.
Yeah, when I have a few, I do become a little lovable. I'll tell you, I love you.
What about you, Jim?
Projects, right?
What's a project that I know you talked about the oh god, Such a bad host.
Oh, that's right.
Something with lavender.
Yeah, well, I have too many, right? The Grail stuff, the Lav Clown, which I'm kind of excited that they're going to potentially go this year. But even aside from that, the tri-stripe stuff is going to be off the chain this year. I mean, I have 9 different pairings that are either making hets, and I think there's like 4 or 5 that have a chance to produce comboed visual tri-stripes, from just albino tri-stripes to OD to, I mean, yellow belly stuff. And it's all from hets that I made for the most part. I've bought some stuff, but I've been able to keep it back, and now that's starting to go into circulation. And I picked up a pastel super inchy hypo desert ghost the beginning of last year. So he's putting in a lot of work this year. So
he's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, pastel super inchy hypo DG.
Take the hypo out, and I got the female het version of it. But
go.
that's a lot.
So
that's a nice little boy to have in the collection.
Yeah, he'll be making some double hets, but I've also produced and have on the shelf pos double hets. So I have like an inchy fire yellow belly, 50% hypo, 50% DG, and she's already ovulated, and she's big. She's like 2,800 grams. And this is her first year, so she's a first year girl. She's good size, and we'll prove her out one way or the other.
Proven out,
yeah. We'll prove it one way or the other, or both, or I'll make really nice hets.
Right.
So, yeah. So there's like 3 or 4 girls that are like that I've held on to, that I have, and I've been buying again in that project this year. So I have a pastel inchy hypo het DG and a pastel chocolate hypo het DG as well. Yeah, so he's got some work in front of him, and is going to make some cool stuff. And
I can't wait.
Yeah.
The funny part about it is, I think by the time I put my first pairing together for DGs, it'll actually be for potentially double visual. But last year I decided to put a lot into DG. It took me forever to get into it, and
I
finally saw it's
nobody wants to get rid of females, so you're buying het females.
When you're trying to keep a smaller collection too, and you're trying to stay focused, it's hard to jump into another recessive, because
it's a big word.
Essentially I'm giving up every project for a recessive. I need to give up at least 10 slots in my mind. So,
and that's where we are, kind of middle range of when we started a couple of years ago with the recessives. 3-4 years ago when we started, we kind of started buying a bunch of different recessives, and now we got 10 different recessives we're working on in total. Maybe a couple
between
more.
The two of us. The thing I think that one of the longer mistakes I made, so not only in the beginning, I really I was sold on the females thing. You got to buy your females, got to buy your females. So we did that, and then we did have some males, and we started breeding, but like the males that I had didn't really
bring much to the
table.
They
were het, so
they had potential, but
they weren't strong enough.
They were playing long odds the entire way.
Long odds, and I didn't have enough of them. So, you end up doing pairings that you're like, well, I mean, the incomplete side, it looks good, but on the recessive side of things, this is like almost a waste of time. Right. And then you end up with all these like 50%ers or whatever, and or a lot of 66s, which you can't avoid if you're doing head to head. But I know I've falling into the belief of, you really got to put your big money into your males. and unless you're using an ultrasound to spread them across 9 girls, you're going to need a few of those, at least a couple of those boys,
Right.
which stinks if you're going to drop $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on each male. I mean, it's not cheap, but the compounding effects of what he brings and what that female holds is complete insanity. Right. And I can't speak to it by my experience yet, because those eggs haven't hatched yet. they're not on the ground yet. They're coming this season. So we're going to see, a lot of what that power can do coming this season, and then the following season.
And I think
I can't even wrap my brain around it. It's going to be so crazy.
That's the hard thing for me. Like I feel like everyone understands that. Like everyone understands that as long as you continue compounding your stuff together, you'll make it. It's just, are you willing to outweigh it? But for some reason, there's a lot of people that get stuck on stuff like Blue-Eyed Lucy's, because they're like, well, I need something that I can sell. It's like, and I can understand their point of view. Like if you're trying to make it full time, you need to have stock at all times. But if you're, I don't know, I have a hard time following that philosophy.
Well, yeah,
I want to make shit that I want, and if I'm not working towards that, then why am I wasting my time with that pairing? Why am I wasting that? I actually got it. Sorry, I cut you off, but I've been in a lot of arguments with a couple of friends in the industry because of that philosophy the past couple of days. I was like, I love you very much, but damn, I want to wring your neck.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
get out of that mindset. It's a little bit different
for some of them too, though. Like, I mean, if you've got crazy square footage that you don't own, you and you have employees on top of it, you kind of have to do some of that to pay bills. I want my building to be similar to like what you're talking about. I mean, I think my initial concept was a little bit bigger square footage wise, but I want it on my own property. I don't want to pay rent to somebody else for the space that I have. If I can do that, then that allows me to just breed what I want and sell what I want. Because I don't have to make $500,000 a year, because I'm not going to have employees. I don't really want a lot of employees. I don't have to pay them. I'm just going to take care of myself.
That's the crazy thing, though. Like, look at Ozzy. He's got a breeding program of what? I think it's less than 400.
Yeah, he does like 75 clutches a year.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he gives his girls a year off almost every other year, and he keeps them healthy, and he does it predominantly by himself. Like, I think he has a couple of employees, but it's not a big scale. And
it's in his house.
Well, he pushes close to $1 million in sales, if not over, a year, off of 70 clutches a year. And then you got people that are pushing 200 clutches a year to make the same amount. Like, I think it really just depends on your time in the industry, what you're willing to invest, and how you're deciding to put those pairings together. Like, you could literally become a millionaire in this industry either way, but do you want it the
volumes
harder way?
Or the easier way?
Or the easier way?
Well, it's not really easier.
Well, it's not easier.
I mean,
but the time spent and the stress that you're going to put your body through. Like, I have a relatively small collection, and I work, I go to school, and then I come home and I'd spend time with kids, and I take care of animals, and that in and of itself is taxing. Like, I sleep for maybe 5 hours a day, and it takes
absolutely a lot. The trade-off is you either do a lot of your incomplete and make your Lucy's and stuff like that in a larger scale to make that money, or you break your body with all the cleaning and all the stuff that goes with it, or you're going to break your brain developing, pushing, and focusing on projects so that those projects then pay out, and then your volumes are less. So it's one or the other.
No, I can agree with that. I mean,
And,
it's a trade-off no matter what you do. Like there's got to be a balance in what you want, and you got to find that balance to be effective at what you're doing.
Yeah, and only you know what that is for yourself. It'll be a little bit different for everybody, but those are pretty much the two avenues. And I'd rather be more similar to like what Ozzy's doing, where it's a smaller scale, higher valued clutches.
We scared Matt. He went back into that B personality.
No,
Yeah, you can
usually
only draw them out for so long.
No, usually when Jim starts talking, I start listening.
What's your thoughts on it, Matt? I'm not gonna let you just sit there.
Oh,
I would be a bad host if I just let you sit there.
No, I don't want a massive collection. Between doing the rodents and then working with the snakes and stuff, like you said, it's taxing. I got 2 young kids. My oldest is 8, my youngest is 3. So, they take up a lot of time, and, got to have that family time, have that work-life balance. And, and having, like Jim said, the smaller size, higher quality. I like what Ozzy's doing. I've bought from him. I like what he makes, and how he does it, and how he just looks at his business and how he does everything. It's
That
just
dude is so smart.
Yeah.
Well, he's been at it for a long time. Like he's got what, 15 years in, maybe more.
20. I think he's
20. Him and Justin,
right around the same time. But even outside of snakes, you listen to him talk about just business and investing in yourself with education and real estate things and tax things and stuff like that. He's done his homework. I
live in that mind space now. Like my wife gives me a hard time because I don't even really listen to music anymore. Like I enjoy music, but I'm listening to business podcasts, or I'm listening to like self-improvement podcasts, or I fall asleep when I listen to music now. It's kind of weird. Kind of scares me. Can't listen to music on a road trip anymore.
Not if it's putting you to sleep.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So I know you have a show tomorrow. I don't want to keep you too late. I know you got to drive, but I'm going to wrap up with this, and then we'll shout out where we can find you guys, and we'll definitely be bringing around a second round if you guys are up for it. Hopefully you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you could change one thing to better the industry in your eyes right now, what would it be?
Go ahead, Jim.
That can be a deep one.
It could be deep. It could be a double-edged sword if you choose to let it be. So it's something that I've been thinking about a lot, right, over the past couple of years. I haven't shot an Arlington video and actually put it on YouTube. Like, as much, I'm always at Arlington, but I have a hard time doing a video there because I genuinely just enjoy being with people and getting over my stress of being in crowds and meeting people and effectively getting. It's just the people. What's the word I'm looking for? You know what it is, Jim. I can't think of it right now. My mind's fried after today.
For me, it's not so much changing something within the industry. It's more of how the government perceives the industry.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, or even a step further than that. Finding a way to keep the government's mitts out of the reptile industry as a whole. For the most part, in some aspects, you see the things that people post on social media, and you kind of don't blame them for having the perception they have. And
It's fair.
I just, I wish there wasn't as much money involved with that side of things, so that they would lend a true ear to what the reality is for 99% of people that are keeping reptiles. But yeah, I mean, if I could change anything, I think I agree with Matt. I'd like to see that changed, and then that just brings an easier way of keeping reptiles, where it's not, especially now, everybody's so on edge, with this whole thing that's going around. So
that's definitely something that I saw firsthand at this last show. Obviously, your breeders that are intending to stay in are still purchasing and making those moves, because you have to continuously move forward. But the average person, and a lot of the breeders were really good about it, about posting, hey, these are potential changes to the Lacey Act, and there could be changes to the industry in general, which I think it kind of scared some people from buying. But I would rather be upfront with it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the right way of doing it.
Sure.
But I also don't believe that you could live in fear. Like, they're going to regulate the way that they choose to regulate, and you can fight it, and hopefully they hear it. And I'm very much a supporter of USARK, and I'm consistently blowing up my senators right now, and probably to the point where their secretaries freaking hate me. But it is fantastic. What it is, because I'm getting the response that says, hey, we've gotten your email, or we've gotten your letter, or your note to the senator, and we'll be reaching out to you soon. I was like, well, you better reach out real freaking quick, because as of my calendar, we got 2 weeks until you go back in session. So I need to be heard.
Right. Absolutely.
For those that, so there's a lot, man. That's one of the things that I really believe. I think we need to work on coming together more. And that's kind of like I was talking at the beginning of this, before we started recording, is we need to come together as a unit. And that's why I want to help other people brand themselves. And it allows me into your life a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm genuinely curious about the other people in the industry, and like what drives you, what motivates you, why you are who you are, what makes you tick. And I think if we allow that, and we show, hey, I'm not just in this for me, I'm not just in this to make a dollar. Like, yes, I want my family to be taken care of, and I want to provide for them. But I genuinely care about this. This is like, these animals have been a part of my life off and on for the last 20 years. Like, if we get to the point where I cannot have reptiles, like, these are my therapy. I'll probably lose my mind. And that's a sad thing to say. Like, I'll have to find something else to take up.
Yeah, I have no idea what I would do if I didn't have them.
Yeah, so it's I really think it's finding a way to come together, finding a way to associate our love of these animals to other avenues, like finding a way to mix with the bird people, finding a way to mix with the dog people, the cat people, finding a way to mix with people that aren't into animals.
Right.
Yeah. I really love what Rude Dog Reptiles has done. I really love what Miguel's done with branching out into other industries and really pushing the bounds of what we're comfortable with as an industry, right? And making it more forward,
accepted,
and not so taboo. And that's something I want to strive to eventually do. Like, I don't believe I have the audience to do that yet. I don't believe I have the business understanding, even though I'm going to college for it at this point, to accomplish that. But it's something I strive to do. Is I don't want to just be reptile people. I want to be like, oh, well, okay, how can I, like, the love that you see out of a kid or out of their mom or dad that was scared of snakes, and you finally get them to touch one, and like that gleam comes in. How do I get that into celebrities? How do I get that into senators? How do I get that into people that'll actually touch thousands and thousands of people when I don't have that reach yet? So that's something that's constantly going through my mind.
Yeah, you're like on the same wavelength, because I was just sitting there thinking that I enjoy taking somebody that's truly fearful of a snake, and they've never ever held one before, and being able to get them to actually hold the snake for a first time and be like, oh, well, this is not that bad. Well, why was I afraid of this?
And that's something I believe I talked to you about this, Jim, where I was trying to work with the VA. And so like VA does the emotional support animals and service animals and all that, right? And there's a clause in there that it can be a reptile. So I'm trying to talk with my local VA and figure out, well, how do I set this up? And I've been trying this for years, and because of COVID, it just got completely shut down. But like for me, these guys are my therapy. So how do I integrate that in for other veterans, right? And how do I kind of create a program for them to find it? And if you're looking at the industry, look at how many freaking veterans actually jump into this. And I don't know why that is. Like, I don't know what the draw, well, I know what the draw is for me, right? But I can't say what the draw is for other people. I don't understand what it is about veterans and reptiles. Maybe it's the danger aspect or the perceived danger aspect, right? Or maybe it's
solidarity,
just something different, or trying to, like, you feel like you're an outsider in the first place, especially when you leave the military. So you're like, well, these are the outsiders. Like, let me be with my people or animals,
exactly.
However you want to look at it, but.
Well, yeah, you still have that commonality that you had when you were in the service, but yet you still get the solidarity from people to a degree, and I mean, it is different. I think the solidarity part of it, with a lot of the other baggage that comes from being in the service, sometimes depending on what you've done, allows you to like work through that, and taking care of stuff, and it just being like amazing to look at. There's, I think, something that plays with the psyche a bit.
It gives you a sense of service,
right?
Like it gives you that sense of service that you lost. And I didn't hint at it before, but I really honestly think that's why you guys found enjoyment in being nurses. That's why a lot of people find enjoyment in the medical field after they get out of the military, regardless of what they did in the military. I know infantrymen that are ER nurses because that's where they feel at home.
Right.
And it's like, they just, when they got out, they didn't have that feeling of serving their fellow man or serving anything. They felt lost because we're driven into our, like, it's drilled into our head. You should have selfless service, and you should take care of all of those around you, regardless of size, shape, species, I guess. But,
yeah, I agree for sure.
Crazy thoughts that roam through your head at night. But
gotta make it stop.
That'll never happen.
Yeah, that's true.
But guys, I appreciate your time tonight. Like I said, I don't want any issues with Ectothermic going into the show tomorrow. So
no,
we're gonna wrap this up. How do we get a hold of you?
We're pretty much everywhere. We have our website, ECTOTHERMICDungeon.com. We're on Instagram, YouTube, which has been lacking lately. But things are changing around here, so that should start picking back up again.
We're on Twitter, but not on there much. We're still kind of figuring out that algorithm.
All the important ones.
Jim just started TikTok, so
yeah.
Gross.
No, I don't have that kind of TikTok channel. No. I don't do none of this stuff. It's just not.
You're gonna do it with ball pythons? No, I received a lot of shit about TikTok when I first started one. I'm not gonna say I was the first reptile influencer on TikTok, but I believe I was like really early on the wave. Like, I started TikTok in, I think, late 2019, and then I just I had to let it go. And I posted a bunch of random crap and didn't really, I didn't have that focus marketing, right? And now that I've gone through my business courses, I'm starting to understand, okay, this is how you've make a focus on marketing on different social medias, and or this is how you like really brand yourself a little, not better, but like versus the average person that doesn't know anything about branding and like they're just starting to get into it. Because that's what I did for years. I was just like, well, if I just post massive amounts of content, I'll fucking brand myself. Like it can't be that hard, right?
That's
and then
me.
you look into like the color schemes and all. There's so many levels of branding yourself that people just don't even realize. You could spend a whole year and a half just learning one aspect of it, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna say I was the first, but I was the first. And so like Chris from Snakes and the Fat Man gave me a lot of shit when I did my 15 minutes of lame. I was like, yeah, I have a TikTok. Like it's gonna be the new thing.
Oh no!
And I got shit on.
No.
I got shit on hard for it during that fucking whole 15 minutes of lame contest.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
they're
you
like,
did.
hey, here we are a year later, and Chris has a TikTok, and pretty much everyone else that was in that 15 minutes of lame with me has a
They all
TikTok.
have TikToks.
It's like trendsetter. What can I say?
And the other one is kind of.
It's a great.
The other
tool.
one is kind of
great tool.
Yeah, the other one's kind of sitting on the back burner is MeWe. You know, that kind of started, and then it just kind of really hasn't.
Yeah, there was a short period where people were really bent about Facebook, and everybody started jumping over to MeWe, and then that just like fizzled before it even started.
It's just it's finding. I think it's finding which one you're comfortable with, and then using that platform to effectively push to the others. Like I like TikTok to be funny, and I like all my branding and the stuff I really push is focused on my Instagram, and then it pushes out to YouTube, and it pushes over to Facebook because they're owned by the same company, so it's all linked, right?
Yeah.
But I like the way Instagram's set up. It's more effective for the way my creative mind works. So
yeah, I agree.
Hopefully it continues to be a good way to go.
Good fit.
But Jim, Matt, I thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Get you off of here.
Yeah, thank you for having us on.
Absolutely. We will have a round 2. When I can't say, but we will have a round 2. It will be set up better. We'll get it pushed out. Y'all have a great night. Thank you for stopping in. Next week we will have someone I'm super excited for, and I kind of got in trouble for because a lot of people have been talking to him, but no one set a date, and I had set a date. And then the week after that, right before the senators go in and start their voting, we'll have Phil Goss and Ryan McVeigh talking about everything going on with the U.S. ARC. And
that's awesome.
So make sure you're emailing and calling and doing all that fun stuff to your senators. Get your word out. Support U.S. ARC.
Yeah, we got to support the guys that are supporting us. So
exactly.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great night. Thank you again for joining Outside of the Clutch. We'll see you next week.
Take care.